Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody. Today I'm here with Tanya Flowers. She's retired veteran. How you doing, Tanya?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. When Tanya retired from the military, she was a sergeant first class, also known as a SFC. So let's get right into it, Tanya. Tell us where you grew up, what city and what state.
Well, I grew up in the great city of Erie, Pennsylvania. I grew up on 20th Street with two parents and a bunch of cousins and one brother.
Okay. So why don't you tell us what a little bit about your childhood, your teenage years? What was that like growing up in Erie?
Growing up in Erie, I stayed to myself. Um, I did have a lot of cousins that grew up with me, so they were my friends. They were who I interacted with and played with. But when I went to school, I was quiet and I stayed to myself. I think I was a little shy. So growing up in Erie, my family did a lot. We were in the community. We were at the homeless shelters. We was working with the Red Cross. We even sang Christmas carols during Christmas time. So my parents kept us very active and in the community. So I've been doing community work or church work all my life.
Well, that's really interesting and great. So, as an adult, what are some things that you learned from your parents that still stick with you today?
The very first thing I learned growing up in the household of my parents is seeing what true love really is. Got me a little emotional. But my mom was 17 when she met my dad. And it was like a love at first sight.
Mm-hmm.
And to watch them, even now, they've been together like, I would say 52 or 53 years.
Wow.
And they still act like teenagers with the little kissing and
Right.
going on dates and best friends. It was beautiful.
Right.
I love that.
Tanya, I'm just going to turn the light on so you can see me a little bit better.
Okay. So I got to see love firsthand.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Right.
So that's something you carry with you today, like in your family and whenever you're involved with people that love and stuff like that, or?
Right.
Right.
But in the dating pool, it's hard to find that. I can't find anyone like my dad. Yeah.
So at what age did you go to the military? 'Cause I know you were retired, you're a veteran. Was it right after high school? Was it like 5, 6 years after? Tell us about that.
No, actually, I joined the military when I was 17. My grandmother, Rachel Arrington, signed the paperwork. And at first, when I was in high school at East, I was like the career counselor slash. I had to bring in different careers to the school, people, different jobs.
Okay.
So I brought in social workers, I brought in police, I brought in the Army to come speak at this school. And I did want to be a social worker. I did want to join the police force. But I joined the military because I had went to my counselor and I was asking him about helping me fill out college paperwork. And you know what he said to me? He said, college ain't for you. And I was like, what? So I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell my grandmother. I didn't tell my parents. I just joined the military.
Right.
That blew my mind. It like really punched me in the gut when an adult told me that. So I ended up joining the military and excelling and going to college while in the military and government paying for it. So
that's great. So So going to the military wasn't necessarily like the career that you wanted at first, or was it something that you wanted to pursue?
Well, I have a cousin, and his name is Damian Graves. He's on the police force now. And me and him talked about first joining the military, but then he went and joined the police force, and I joined the military. And I'm like, hey, cuz, I thought we was going to do this together.
Right.
But, I did, while I was in high school, I was in a reserve unit attached to the military police. So on weekends, I would go hang out with the police.
Okay.
But then my cousin who grew up as my brother, Sean Penniman, he ended up passing away, and I couldn't handle it. So I went active duty. I had to get out.
Right.
Basically.
Sorry to hear about that.
Thank you.
So tell us about boot camp. I mean, you see, like when you watch these military movies, they make it look like it's really brutal and stuff like that. Is it really like the movies, or is it? Tell us about it.
Back in my young 17, 18-year-old mind, it was exactly like that, but probably 1,000 times worse. But as I got older, I was like, man, they played me because it was all an act. They have to get in your head so that you trust them. They scare the bejesus out of you so you can comply and do what they tell you to do. And I was more or less like, I'm going to do whatever you say. But we had other people that didn't really follow laws and regulations, and they was just like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm looking at them like, ooh, you got away with, doing something we weren't supposed to. But I was like, no, I grew up in a household where there's rules and consequences. So I'm going to follow the rules. I see first, no, I'm not about to get a spanking. So I usually just follow the rules.
Right. Any stories you can share that you care to share or you can share about boot camp stories? Or?
Well, in basic, I was the one that always prayed before we did any field training, any ranges, or even throwing the grenades. Because we had one grenade, the person was trying to throw it, and it was almost like 30 feet in front of us. And we all got dirt in our face after that. Drill sergeant was like, everybody down. In seconds, it went up. And we had to clear the range that day. You're so scared that you don't have the enough energy to throw that grenade as far as you can. You just freak out and it falls like right in front of you.
Right.
So I understand why the drill sergeants had to be hard, because one little mistake can get us all killed.
Right.
Even at the ranges, if somebody's weapon is misfiring and you got safeties going up and down the range and you got like 20 kids pointing their weapons at you, everybody got to adhere to what's going on.
Right.
Or something can happen. The least little thing can happen where it's a loss of life.
Right.
Yeah.
So ain't no room for playing around or error or anything like that.
No room for error.
No.
And I thank God that one of my drill sergeants, we had 3. One was a preacher. One was a real stern guy, real stern. And the other one was kind of laxy-daisy, where we ended up finding out he was messing with one of the recruits.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff was happening.
So how many years did you actually serve in the military?
I served 23 and a half years in the military. Like, I would say 9 months was reserve duty, and that's because I was still in high school.
Okay. So what kept you going all that time? Like, I mean, when you serve, you can serve like how many years do you have to put in when you? Is there a certain number of years you have to go?
Well, the initial is 4 years in enlistment. Some is 2, some is 4, some you could enlist longer, but I would choose 4 years at a time.
Okay.
And I would enlist longer because of the duty and the selfless service, and I wanted to give back.
Right.
I'm the type of person always wanting to give back and doing what I can to help the country.
Right.
And I wanted to do it at a wide range because I thought police, I'm just helping the city. But then joining the military, I wanted to help as many people as I could.
Right. What are some of the places that you've been during your service?
Well, one of my favorites is Alaska. And usually I want to add, like when I was in the military, each duty station I went to, when I got older and wiser, I would buy a house at each place I went to. So I have a house in Alaska. I have one in North Carolina and Georgia. So that's just the tip. Buy real estate everywhere you go.
Right.
So I did deploy in Afghanistan. That was my scariest place I've been. We got bombed every other day, sometimes twice a day, and that was nerve-wracking. But something to, experience. We have a poo pond where they collect all the poo from the porta potties and put it in a big old, pond, body of water. And I had to walk past it every day.
Wow.
The stench was crazy.
Right.
And I've been to Korea twice. And when you go to Korea and step off the airplane, that stench is almost like the poo pond. That's something to get used to. But that was a culture shock to me. But I end up loving Korea.
Right.
I'll go back to Korea and just chill, because when I was there, not to sound anal, but I had somebody did my laundry, somebody cooked for me, somebody was driving me wherever I needed to go, because the Koreans they'll do whatever you need to make that income.
Oh, okay.
So we had a house mother that was in our barracks. She stayed in a little small room on the first floor, and she would come get all our laundry, keep track, do our laundry. And like right down the street, we had Ajima, Adashi, they would cook. So if we wasn't going to the DFAC, we was eating the Korean food.
Oh, okay.
Or you could go down the street and they actually would have dogs hanging up. Dogs hanging up with their paws cut off and the skin off. And you can say, hey, let me get a little piece of that leg. It's called bulgogi. Beef is bulgogi. Have you ever had bulgogi? It's the cut up like steak.
I've never had it.
Okay. I haven't had the dog, but
you actually saw it though. But you did see it.
I've seen it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, squid hanging up, all type of stuff hanging up. And it's good to get out different cultures and see how other people live.
Right.
Because I did not know, like traveling in Korea, they squat when they go to the bathroom. And that's the best way to use the bathroom. It's not a commode. It's just a straight hole in the ground. And you basically just squat in the hole and do your do.
Right.
It's good to have your knees up when you go into the bathroom, and everything just flows right on at you. If I'm not being too graphic.
Right. You good. You good. You good. So after you know, like you're basic and you're into your military career, what's a typical day like? Like, what do you do during the day? What is, when you're not like in like Afghanistan, something like that? What do you do?
Okay, before kids, I'm gonna tell you, we had to be in formation around 6:15, 6:30. When I was a platoon sergeant, I like my soldiers to come like 6:15, so I can count them all. I know where they're at. They're not in the barracks hurt or hungover or anything like that. So my first sergeant is coming probably early too, just to watch. But we have to be there at 6:30. So after we do formation, get accountability of everybody, I may say I got 2 soldiers that went to sick call.
Okay.
If they're not in a formation. If you're not at sick call, you're out of ranks. So I make sure everybody's accounted for, because if somebody get lost, that's your butt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I got 40 personnel I got to keep track of, give or take. So after we do the accountability, which is very important, we go straight into PT, physical training.
Okay.
We're working out for about an hour, hour and a half on a good day. Usually running, a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, and circuits and stuff like that. So after we work out, we end up going to shower. The men got to shave, and then we're back at work by 9 o'clock. So you got to hurry up, drive where, hopefully you don't have to drive too far. But if you do, we got barracks room where people could go shave, shower, and get back to work.
Okay.
So we'll report to work and work from 9 to 5. Or if we got some extra stuff going on, it could be late night working. It don't matter, because we belong to the government.
Right.
So then after that, you get to go home, do whatever you do, and come back the next day and do it 5 days a week.
Okay.
Or we got to work the weekend. But if you got kids, I would have to drop my kids off at 5:30 in the morning. So I'm getting up early, making sure they're fed, changed, clothed. And if you get to the daycare and they don't soil their clothes, you got to change them. And still make it to formation
on
by
time.
6:30.
Right.
Right.
So, can you tell us one or two challenges of having a career in the military? Something that's, a challenge about it.
The having children within the military is a challenge, but it can be overcome.
Right.
The other thing, for me, being a Black female in the military, that was a challenge. It was a lot. I went in back in 92, 93. So there were still some issues going on with racism, and having people over you that would talk crazy to you, and you can't say nothing real back.
Right.
I was a PFC, so you got a private, then a PFC, then a specialist, then a sergeant. So I was a PFC, still a private, for a year in the military because they had a freeze on promotion. So I would come to formation or work period looking sharp. My uniform had creases that cut you. My boots were so shine, you could see yourself in them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I did my work. I was a beast in physical training. And then I got this Joe Snuffy that looked like he pulled his uniform out of bag. that worked. He worked in the motor pool. I was supply. I'm getting you whatever you need, smiling, doing it, you know.
Right.
I'm getting you what you need. But he was picked over me on promotion. And, you know, it was a couple blacks that had rank.
Right.
And they were like, you a shoo-in, you gonna get this, Tanya, you gonna get this. And to come to find out, he got it because of the color of his skin. That happens a lot. But I dealt with it and I got promoted on God's time. That probably had to humble me down or something. I don't know.
Right.
But it happens. It happens a lot.
Right. Yeah, we know that happens in all like walks of life, and you know, and probably, you know, like you said, in the military, different jobs and different. So we all got to kind of deal with that.
Right. And sexual harassment.
Right. So,
Yeah.
what's your advice for like? So I work in a high school, and you know, kids that might be thinking about going to the military. What would be your advice for them?
I would tell them to do it because it's a foundation. They teach you rules and regulations. They teach you time management. They teach you finances. I get paid once a month. Even in the military, I got paid once a month. So I got to make that paycheck stretch to the end of the month. That's teaching you finances.
Right.
I'm glad my parents taught me finances before I joined the military, and I was always good with money. But I've seen soldiers, and I had a lot of soldiers that I would sit down and go over their finances with them.
Right.
And that's part of our job as a supervisor or leader, to make sure they're not buying a car with a 17% interest rate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of sharks that's around the military base.
Right.
So I would tell them to get with a supervisor you trust and talk to them about finances. Talk to them about what you're about to get in and what you're about to do and how can you advance in the military.
Right.
So you got to be wise when you first join the military and just watch and listen and learn.
Right.
Don't be out there partying, drinking, you away from home, thinking you about to just cut loose.
Right.
But listen and learn and wait till you get your money up before you start enjoying all those things.
Right.
Save your money.
Right. So since retiring, I know you are still you're passionate about your service to our country still and to veterans. Can you tell us about the nonprofit that you're doing right now?
Okay, yes. So, I started a nonprofit along with my father, who's a Vietnam vet, Nelson Flowers. We started a nonprofit, and we've been talking about this for years, but even getting into business, you just got to make that jump.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to stop talking about it, and last year, we went ahead and started our 501c3 nonprofit called Nailsville Community Inc.
Okay.
We added community to it because we're building houses for homeless veterans. We're going to put up a laundromat and also open up a grocery store.
Wow.
And a gas station. So if the veteran wants to work at the grocery store or the gas station, hey, they can. That's like rehab for them.
Right.
But we're trying to bring back some dignity amongst our veterans and let them know we care and love them. Because I see it a lot where veterans fall off. Mm-hmm. Veterans get overlooked.
Right.
And we've given their all, given their life for this country. And then we got a lot of veterans that's still homeless.
Right.
The system is broke somewhere.
Right. That's amazing work that you have going there, and that's an amazing mission and thing that you're doing there. Sounds great. So if people want to know more about it, how do they get in contact with you? What should they do?
I have a website, and it's www.nailsvillecommunity.org. They can reach out, they can donate there, see our progress, see the steps we're taking, and learn about what we're doing.
That's awesome. Awesome to hear. I'll be looking into that myself. So
thank you.
So I know you are a mother also, and you have your own children. Any advice for younger mothers out there that are raising children today that you could share?
Advice I would give young mothers today is raise your children to the best of your ability. Don't be angry if you're not getting the help or support you need. Focus on your children. It may be days that you gotta cry. Go cry privately and get yourself back together and take care of them kids.
Thank you. Also, I see you posting a lot of pictures about cooking and chef classes or something. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Well, my parents are cooks, so I've been cooking since I was young. We had a house full of kids, so I would experiment and cook things for them, and they would absolutely love it. And my brother would bring all his friends over, and I love to serve. That's just what I do. So I would cook. So when I retired out the military, since I'm a disabled veteran, my tuition get paid 100%.
Okay.
So I said, I might as well use this or you're going to lose it. So I started going to culinary school to get my bachelor's. So I'll get it in culinary along with business side of open up a restaurant. So I started and I did all my cooking portions. Now I'm finishing up on the business side, and I only have 2 more classes until I graduate with my bachelor's.
Wow. So you'll be able to put them great culinary skills to work in that new adventure, that new nonprofit too.
Right, because we're gonna feed the veterans as well.
Right. So Tanya, this question wasn't really on the in there, but it's about Memorial Day. So when Memorial Day comes around, as a retired veteran, what does that mean to you, like Memorial Day?
Memorial Day is to honor the fallen soldiers. That's when people put Happy Memorial Day, that burns me up. What's happy about it? It's a mourning or remembrance of the fallen soldiers. But a lot of civilians that have no real affiliation with soldiers,
right,
tend to party it up and think they got a free day off. And I'm just gonna party it up. I don't blame you for having fun, but just recognize what it's actually about.
Right. So like you said, it's about the fallen soldiers, not really a party.
Right.
Okay. So once again, everybody, we're here with Tanya Flowers, originally from Erie, PA. She's a retired veteran from the Army. Her rank when she retired was Sergeant First Class, or SFC. So Tanya, I'd like to thank you for being here today. It's wonderful hearing about your military career and your life. Thank you for your service. And any final comments that you would like to share with the people out there before we leave today?
If anybody want to reach out to me, they can. They can hook up with me on the link that I just gave, the nailsvillecommunity.org. Any questions you have for me? I'm a very giving person and giving of knowledge, and what we need to do as Black people is to share knowledge one to another. I don't charge, and I like to help.
Right.
Point blank. I just like to help. Whatever I can do to help you get ahead, I'm going to help you get ahead, because I've been through the ringer trying to start what I'm going through. And there's a lot of sharks out there that just want the money
Right.
to help you when you could get that for free.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm willing to help anybody.
Well, there you have it, everybody. If you you have someone with a great cause, a great heart, a passion for what she's doing, reach out to her. If you want to help her cause or just need help, she says you can reach out to her. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you. All right, Mo.
All right, have a great one.